A new life in Midian. After Moses fled from Egypt, he found himself in a distant land called Midian. This was a new and unfamiliar place, quite different from the luxurious palace where he had grown up. Here, the air was dry, and the landscape stretched out with mountains and open desert. With every step, Moses felt a mix of fear and hope. He had left behind the life of a prince, the riches of the palace, and the memories of his childhood. Now, he was alone, hiding from the power of Pharaoh, fearing for his life. As Moses wandered through Midian, he eventually came to a well. He sat down beside it, exhausted and unsure of what to do next. While he was resting, he noticed some young women approaching the well. They were the daughters of Jethro, a priest from Midian. These daughters came to draw water for their father's sheep. But as they arrived at the well, they were soon confronted by some rough shepherds who chased them away. The daughters struggled to fill the troughs with water and felt helpless against the bullies. Moses, seeing their trouble, felt a sense of justice burning inside him once again. "Hey!" he shouted, stepping between the shepherds and the daughters. "Leave them alone." His voice was firm, and he stood tall, ready to defend the young women. To his surprise, the shepherds were startled by Moses' confidence. They backed away and left the well, not willing to confront a man who appeared to have strength and authority. The daughters quickly thanked Moses for his bravery. They were impressed by how he had stood up for them and defended their honor. When they returned home and told their father about the strange man who had helped them, Jethro was curious. He wanted to meet this gallant stranger who had defended his daughters. When Jethro summoned Moses to their home, he was warm and welcoming. "You saved my daughters today," Jethro said with a smile. "You should stay with us and rest. You can be a part of our family." Moses felt grateful for this generous offer. He had been afraid and alone, but now he had a chance to belong somewhere safe. As time passed, Moses settled into his new life with Jethro's family. He found work as a shepherd, caring for the flocks of sheep. Each day, he spent hours in the open fields, guiding the sheep to green pastures and calm waters. It was a peaceful life, and Moses found solace in the simple rhythms of nature. He learned to be patient, understanding the ways of the land and the needs of the animals. Though Moses enjoyed his new life, he often thought about the Hebrews back in Egypt. He missed his own people and the sufferings they faced. Even though he had escaped to Midian, the memory of his people haunted him. He felt a deep sense of longing and a need to help them. He couldn't shake the feeling that somehow, his life had a greater purpose. One day, while Moses was out with the sheep, he noticed something incredible. In the distance, near the base of a mountain, he saw a bush that appeared to be on fire. But it didn't burn up. He had never seen anything like this before. Curious, he thought to himself, "I must go over and see this strange sight. Why is the bush not burning?" As he approached, he heard a voice calling from within the flames, "Moses! Moses!" He stopped in his tracks, startled. "Here I am," he replied, feeling both frightened and fascinated. God spoke to Moses from that burning bush, revealing himself in a way that was powerful and personal. "Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Moses was filled with awe. He had never experienced anything like this before, and he realized he was in the presence of God. God continued to speak, declaring, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." When Moses heard this, he was afraid and hid his face. He realized he was speaking to the very God who had made promises to his ancestors. Then God told Moses about his plan to save the Israelites. "I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their oppressors. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt." This was an astonishing calling. God was choosing Moses, the shepherd, to lead his people to freedom. Moses felt a rush of emotions, excitement, fear, and uncertainty. "Who am I to go to Pharaoh?" he asked, feeling unworthy of such a task. He remembered his past, the mistakes he made, and the fact that he had run away in fear. How could he face the same Pharaoh again? God reassured Moses, saying, "I will be with you. When you bring the people out of Egypt, you will worship me on this mountain." This promise gave Moses some courage, but he was still filled with doubt. What if they don't believe me? What am I supposed to say if they ask who sent me? God answered his doubts by giving Moses 3 miraculous signs. The first sign was to throw his staff on the ground. When Moses did, it turned into a snake. "Pick it up by the tail," God instructed. Moses hesitated, but when he obeyed, the snake became his staff again. "This is to show them that I am with you," God explained. Next, God told Moses to put his hand inside his cloak. When he pulled it out, it was leprous, covered with sores. But when he put it back in, it became healthy again. This was another sign to help convince the people. The third sign was to take water from the Nile River and pour it on the dry ground. It would turn to blood, showing the power of God over Egypt. With these signs, Moses would have proof that he was sent by God, but still, he felt inadequate. "Lord, I am not a good speaker," Moses protested. "I have never been eloquent. I am slow of speech and slow of tongue." He was filled with insecurities and worried about how he could talk to Pharaoh and convince the Hebrews to follow him. God's answer was both challenging and comforting. "Who gives people their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will help you speak and will teach you what to say." This was God's promise of support, and it should have given Moses confidence. But Moses struggled with doubt, pleading once more, "Please send someone else." His heart felt heavy with fear and insecurity. He wanted to help his people, but he felt unprepared. When God saw Moses' reluctance, he became frustrated but also understanding. "What about your brother Aaron? He can speak well. He is on his way to meet you now," God replied. With Aaron as his spokesperson, Moses felt a wave of relief wash over him. God assured him that they would work together to free the Hebrews. Moses accepted, but he knew this would not be an easy task. After this encounter, Moses returned to Jethro, his father-in-law, with a heavy heart and a renewed sense of purpose. "Let me return to my own people in Egypt," he said. Jethro replied, "Go, and I wish you well." Moses felt grateful for the kindness Jethro had shown him. As he prepared for the journey back to Egypt, he knew it was time to face his past and fulfill the purpose God had revealed to him. Moses left Midian and traveled back to Egypt, filled with both excitement and fear. The journey was long, but he was determined to do what God had asked. As he approached Egypt, he thought about his people and all they were enduring. He could picture their struggles, their cries for help, and he knew he had to be brave. Upon arriving in Egypt, Moses felt a mix of emotions. His heart raced as he thought about standing before Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the land. He remembered how he had fled from Egypt years ago. Would Pharaoh even listen to him? Would the Israelites believe that he was sent by God? Finally, Moses and Aaron met together. They shared everything God had said and the signs he had given them. Encouraged, they decided to approach the Israelites together. They gathered the leaders of the Hebrew people and shared the good news. "God has seen your suffering," Moses announced. "He is aware of your pain and has sent me to lead you out of Egypt to a land flowing with milk and honey." The leaders listened carefully, their hearts filled with hope. When Moses performed the signs God had given him, they believed his words. They rejoiced and thanked God for their promised deliverance. With this renewed excitement, Moses and Aaron made plans to go before Pharaoh. They knew they had a tough battle ahead, but they held on to the hope that God was with them. Soon, they would confront the king and demand the freedom of their people. And so, the story of Moses continued, woven with themes of courage, faith, and divine purpose. Moses' journey from a runaway prince to a shepherd called by God had prepared him for the task that lay ahead. Little did he know, the path before him would be filled with challenges, miracles, and the unfolding of God's incredible plan for his people. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more stories.